Hi, I'm Louisiana disability attorney Lloyd Bourgeois. In this video, I'm going to talk to you a little about the Social Security disability application process and how your application is reviewed by the Social Security Administration. Social Security utilizes a 5-step sequential process in reviewing your application. At any step, they can determine that you are or are not qualified for benefits. The 5-step process begins with number 1. Whether you are gainfully employed at the time of your disability application. If you're gainfully employed on the date that you apply for benefits, your application will be denied. If you're not employed at a substantial gainful activity level, you can continue on to step 2 in the process. Step 2 is whether or not you have been diagnosed with a medically determinable impairment that affects your ability to work and that is expected to last at least 12 months or result in death. It's a very important step. It requires that your disability or injury be medically determinable and verified. This requires a doctor's opinion. There's a lot more involved to that step, which we'll explain in some later videos. But if your illness or injury has not been diagnosed or medically determined by a doctor, your application for disability benefits will be denied. If it has, you can continue on to step 3 in the sequential process. Step 3 is, does your impairment or disability meet or equal a listing? A listing is simply a list of illnesses, disabilities that the Social Security Administration has published to tell them and you the criteria for certain conditions which, if met, automatically qualifies you for disability benefits. If your illness or disability meets a listing, then you will be determined disabled and be awarded benefits. If you don't meet a listing, you have to continue on to step 4 in the process. At step 4, Social Security Administration determines whether or not you can perform any of your past relevant work. Your past relevant work for most people will be any of the jobs you held over the past 15 years. Based upon Social Security Administration's determination of your ability to perform work in a residual functional capacity evaluation, they will determine whether or not you can do any of the jobs you held over the previous 15 years. If you can do any of those jobs, unfortunately you won't be considered disabled. You won't get benefits. If you can't perform those jobs, Social Security then goes to the 5th step. At the 5th step, the question is whether or not you can perform any other work that is generally available. Again, Social Security looks at the residual functional capacity evaluation that they've completed for you, and they use a vocational expert to help them determine whether or not the symptoms and disabilities that you are dealing with qualify you for any job that's available in the national economy. If you can perform any job that's available, your application for benefits will be denied. If you can't, then you'll be awarded benefits. Once again, this has been our brief video on the 5-step sequential process that the Social Security Administration utilizes when reviewing your claim.